was going to flop. But all the same, please forgive me. You will do your introduction again, right? Let me quickly read the bio and set everyone in pace, and we get going. Thank you so much, Sammy. Okay, so Sammy is a remarkable screenwriter and a development executive whose impact on the film industry is nothing short of extraordinary. His films, including The Encounter, Three Thieves, Las Gidivice, and Listen, have not only won awards but also captured the hearts and imaginations of audiences. His latest work, The Weekend, which I cannot wait to see in cinema this August, also captured the hearts, was standout at the 2024 Tribeca Film Festival, showcasing his continued brilliance and innovation in storytelling. Many of you might have seen his work on Netflix, like Raz Guy. I really, really enjoyed Raz Guy. The what's it called, back and forth between the fellas, one with the whole phonetics and the other one. I really, really enjoy the drama, right? Which further underscores his talent and appeal. But beyond his impressive credentials, what makes Sammy truly exceptional? What makes Sammy truly exceptional is his incredible warmth and humanity. Sorry, despite his numerous achievements and contributions to the industry, he remains incredibly approachable and genuine. I mean, I think writers are very, very, very genuine and approachable, unlike directors that really, really and producers. But don't worry. Probably I'm this way because I'm a writer too. His simplicity, coupled with his large heart, makes him a cherished mentor and a true asset to the creative community. He also shares his wealth and knowledge as a lecturer in Ebony Life Academy, founded by the visionary Mo Abudu. There, he helps nurture the next generation of filmmakers, passing on his passion and expertise to aspiring storytellers rather. We are incredibly fortunate to have him with us today. His presence is a testament to his commitment and supporting and inspiring others in the industry. I hope you find his insight both profound and inspiring. Of course, I will. And
Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can, we can hear you,
yes,
sir.
we can.
Hello, everyone. I don't know what your time is, but for me, it's evening. So I'm going to say good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
I'm
sir.
very concerned right now because network for the past couple of days have been spotty, which is part of the reason why I joined late. So, fingers crossed, the network is not a problem, and then I can pass this class properly. So, everyone, once again, to introduce myself after my name has been butchered. My name is Egbemawei Dimiyei Sammy. Sammy is my surname, but that's what I go by because it is the easiest of my names to call. And there's less chance of Sammy being butchered, although I end up being called Samson or Samuel or Samsung. So I have to keep introducing myself and saying, no, Sammy is my surname. Please call me Sammy. I've been a scriptwriter and development executive for over a decade. Like they told you, I've been involved in multiple projects. So I'm coming from a lot of experience. There are some things that I've done. There are some things that I haven't. There are some things that I wish I got to know sooner, and I hope to pass some of that across to you guys today. So, thanks again for AAIFF for this class. If at any reason you can't hear me, please just send a text so I know that I'm just talking to myself and nobody is hearing me. As always, there's no point to this if I don't have something to share now, right? I have to share something. So sometimes somewhere, sometime this year. Huh. All right, give me a second. I'm checking for my slides somewhere on this laptop. I'll try to keep this meeting short because I know we have different things to do with our lives. So let me not take too much of your time. There you go. Been a while since I've done this. Okay. Yikes. I'll be back in a moment. Don't miss me too much.
All right, let's kindly be patient, please. Mr. Sammy would be right back with us. Thank you so much.
Need someone to indicate that I'm here. I'm sure that this class is right. So again, about me, these are a couple of the films I've done. The Weekend will be in cinemas by August 30th. It was an official entry at Tribeca this year, the first and I think the only festival in different stages of production. That's something as a writer that you get used to, that you create quite a lot of things and they'll just take their sweet time to get into production, because while what is happening is you're sitting with your system and creating stuff, people are putting funds and budget together to make the film happen. So without further ado, let's go ahead. We're talking here to talk about crafting compelling narratives, and let's make this as as judicious as we can. So first, a lot of people start their narratives with a what if question. What if this? What if that? What is the what if premise? A what if premise is really a hypothetical scenario or a concept that serves as the foundation for the story. So this is you asking a question. What if you take something that already exists and it's in a different way? What if you take something that already exists and deviate it from what everybody knows? How about I take the Romeo and Juliet story and tell it on a spaceship, or I tell it underwater? What if I do the Romeo and Juliet story, but instead of human beings, the characters here are ants or spiders or a dog and a cat? It typically poses a question about a specific situation or event that deviates from reality or introduces a fantastic element. So something I want a lot of you guys to think about is what if? That's if you're not doing that already. What if on your way home from work someday, you discover that somebody has deposited $10 billion in your account. That's an interesting film. What if you go for a meeting and it turns out that you're being recruited for a spy agency? What if you go to sleep and wake up the next day and the entire world is flooded and you're the only person that can breathe underwater? Really, the what if premise sets the stage for exploring potential consequences, challenges, and opportunities within the narrative. So it is like a playground, literally. That's what it is. It is a playground. So you can come up with as many what if scenarios as you want. And if something strikes you as very interesting, then there might be a story there. One thing to note, though, is that the what if is not your story. It is simply a stage for your story to live on. There are a lot of examples for this. If you consider the movie What Happened to Monday, the what if premise there is, what if nobody is allowed to have more than one child? And if you have more than one child, the child is taken away by the government. But somebody gives birth to 7 children at once. You see that? That is just the premise for the stage. The story itself is not spoken about yet. And I'll discuss that later on. The what if, it's all about taking a concept, an idea, or an event and exploring the potential consequences or alternate realities. So what if Britain never colonized Africa? What if Germany won the First World War? What if there were no weapons in the world? What if all the doors of the prison suddenly open? Now speak about an event in history and add a twist to it. What if this? What if that? What if the Titanic never sank? What if to the top of Mount Everest? What wish, race, or tribe? So by reimagining scenarios and exploring existing story. Again, you've seen something, you've read something, you've heard something, you've watched something that has inspired you, and you like to take your own twist on it. Ask yourself, what if? And see what questions you can ask that can make you explore this in a different way. It is important now to know your story. This is where I talk about your story, because this is no longer just about your what if. And there are 3 major things that I teach when it comes to knowing your story. It's about who your character is, what your character wants, and what is stopping your character. So the character want obstacle. I've done a table here with different examples. Who is your character? For example, my character is a retired police officer. What does he want? He wants his pension from the government. But what is stopping this police officer from getting it? The funds were embezzled by a corrupt politician. This is your story at its core. Look at it at the bottom of the screen. This is your story at its core. This is what drives your story. This is where everything stems from. So when you know who your character is, and you can identify the major thing that this character wants, this is the primary goal of the character, and you've identified what is stopping the character from getting that, you can build your story from there. I've met a lot of people who've built characters, but they don't have a character want. And so when it gets time to telling the story, they're talking about how good the character is, or how nice the character is, or how empathetic, or this or that, or all these other things that they've built about, or they've built their story world and their story elements so well, but they don't know what the character wants, or the character himself doesn't know what he wants. And there you have a challenge, because what you're watching is somebody on their way to achieve something, and you're either rooting for them or you want that person to be stopped. So who's your character? What do they want? What is stopping them? What's their obstacle? What's the conflict that they're facing? Another example I've put here, a naive school teacher wants to reform a delinquent school. The obstacle is the headmaster wants the school to remain that way. So however you build your characters and build the headmaster, you can have your story come up from here. This is something that also affects your plot. If you don't know who your character is, what they want, and what is majorly stopping them, it is tough for you to proceed. It's tough for you to plot the rest of it. A tired writer wants to create one last marvel before retiring. The obstacle is his publisher has tricked him into signing the contract for 5 more projects. What does this person do? With this, you can start plotting all the things that you're going with. When we get to the plot structure, I'm going to tell you more. I might have to go back and forth from that slide to this slide just to build one of these stories. And these are ideas that I came up with today, so feel free to use them if any of them matches you. But just know whatever you're working on, break it into these 3 elements. Who is my character? What do they want? What is stopping them? At this point in the class, there's 2 minutes left, so I would like somebody. Oh no, okay, no time. There's not enough time, or I've had somebody share it. But what I want you guys to think about.
There's time, please.
There is time. Okay, so I'd like a volunteer. Somebody just tell me about a character, what the character wants, and something that will be stopping this character that you're thinking about. Anybody? I'd like to have 2 people. And yeah, I teach an interactive class, so I'm going to wait until somebody speaks.
Okay, so sorry, Wisdom. My name is Wisdom. Good
Hi,
evening. Yeah. So I think my own character is this man, an average man who is uneducated, not so educated.
Wait, Wisdom, sorry to interrupt, but what I want you to do is boil your character down to the simplest words. Look at the things I've got for my characters.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a sense of who they are, a sense of their identity, a sense of their personality, a sense of their career. So just boil it down to this. So this guy you're talking about is uneducated or unemployed. An unemployed what?
Okay, it's basically an uneducated chemist owner.
Yeah. What does he want?
That's streamlined enough, right? He wants
that's very good.
Okay, so he wants to make it really big, and then I think what's stopping him is being wrongfully accused of being a part of a kidnap. I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
All right, that's a good attempt. Now let me tell you the problem you have there and the problem you were saying earlier. I'm seeing User and Charles Okoye raising your hands, but let me address Wisdom first, and then we can continue. So this is something I forgot to include in the slide. You need to be specific with your characters, with your goal, with the obstacle. You need to be very specific, because saying a character wants to make it big, wants to make it rich, wants to fall in love, wants to do this, wants to do that, it's not specific enough. You have to give this person a goal. In what way does this person want to be rich? Okay, there's a bird here. Oh, Lord. So, in what way does your character want to get or do what they want to do? So, saying I want to be wealthy is not good enough. Your character has to want to be a wealthy entrepreneur, a wealthy filmmaker, a wealthy what? So that way you can streamline the obstacle that they are facing even more directly. Is Wisdom here?
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
All right, so do you see how that would help? With the goals, yes. Your character needs to have a specific goal. If your character doesn't have a specific goal, then they keep moving with no sense of purpose. Because consider, for the instance, a budding screenwriter wants to be successful. What does success mean for you? Your idea of success is completely different from my idea of success. It's completely different from everybody else's idea of success in this place. There are some writers who their idea of success is, I've had one of my films produced. There are some writers who the idea of success is, I've had 100 of my films produced, but I want an award. There are people whose idea of success is, I want every single thing I write to be award-winning. Which is why you need to be specific with your character's goal and be specific with the obstacles stopping them. Again, still referencing classes that I teach, I've had people who tell me, oh, Now, let me use one of my examples. A retired police officer wants his pension from the government, and the obstacle is the government. That is still not specific enough, because in what way is the government an obstacle? Is the government arresting this person? Is the government taking this person on an errand? Is the government saying nonsense? In what way is the government an obstacle? Even if you say a corrupt politician, in what way is this corrupt politician an obstacle? So you need to be specific about what the goal is and be specific about what the obstacle is. And the obstacle needs to be something that can really obstruct the goal. All right, give me a moment.
Yeah, you drink this argument. You know the past. See, if you want to carry this water, I'm sure that what I get. Okay, what happened? Only one.
Baby BSL, what's going on? I'm hearing conversation. I'm hearing gist.
I'm not be about one. The noise behind background too.
All right, so not to flog this point too much, there are some people who have their hands raised. Can we hear from you? Nelson,
okay, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Introduce yourself, Charles.
Okay, my name is Charles Okoye. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, my what if scenario is a successful married man invites his old flame over to Lagos for the weekend, and she disappears.
Now, I like that, but I need to ask it as a question. What if a married man invites his ex-girlfriend to his house and she disappears?
Okay, like that. Okay.
Listen to the question when you ask it. You will know whether it is an interesting question. So, not a good attempt, but for everyone, ask it as a question. And when you ask that question, just see whether it excites you, see whether it interests you, and then you will know whether this is something you want to work on. So well done, Charles. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Can we have Nelson, if you're still there?
Yes. Good evening, sir. Okay. So mine is a vengeful princess wants to avenge the death of her parents, only to realize the man she loves is the son of the politician behind her parents' death.
Okay, so now, well done, but let me simplify it. The point of this exercise is to simplify it. Later on, when you're writing on other documents, you're going to expand more on it. So, your character, eventual princess, wants to avenge the murder of her parents. The obstacle is her lover's parents are the cause of the murder.
Yes, they are behind the murder, yes, of her parents.
Right, so that's clear, that's concise. I thank you for making yours streamlined. Well done.
Thank you.
Keep practicing. And something to consider for everyone. I can put most of these things together. When you're saying it, say this character wants, because when you put what the person wants, when you verbalize it that way, instead of saying this person desires or this person seeks to or this person is looking for, no, this person wants. When you put it that way, when you put the wants there, it becomes even more tangible. It becomes even more urgent, even more important. So, who wants to go next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Joy.
Your name is Joy, but your hand just says user.
Really? I have no idea why it's like that. Okay. So, This kind of looks like what he just said, but it's coincidence though. Okay. So mine is, what if a conflicted data analyst avenging her rapist falls in love with a detective investigating her crimes?
Okay, so you're on the what if premise. Okay, what if
Yeah.
say that again?
What if a conflicted data analyst avenging her rapists falls in love with a detective investigating her crimes?
What?
Now your story is unnecessarily boggled down. Now that is your what if. What if we are here? This is the challenge that's happening. So you've mixed your what if with this exercise here, and it's a bit tricky to untangle it.
Can I say the way I have it? It didn't come
Yes.
as what if. It came as a sentence.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, what I have is a conflicted data analyst embarks on a killing spree to avenge her rapist, but falls for the detective investigating her crimes.
Seems like it's two different ideas in one. So.
Yeah, it's multiple ideas in one, but okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Right. So the what if and this knowing your story are two exercises. So trying to for everyone else, try not to mix them together. What if a girl who's out to avenge us, what if a girl who's out for revenge falls in love with a detective? What's the word again? Investigating her case.
Even her crime, yeah, her case, crimes.
So what if a girl falls in love with a detective who is investigating the crimes she committed? You see that now, that is your premise. That's the stage we're playing on. But that's not the story. Here, this exercise now is where your story comes. So here you talk about your character. Who is your character? A vengeful what?
Data
analyst.
All right, what does she want?
Analyst. Yeah.
What does she want?
Okay, what does she want? She wants to avenge her rapists, kill them, get revenge on them.
No, you need an obstacle that directly stops her from getting her revenge.
Falling in love with the detective.
You see this, right? The reason why that is not such a strong obstacle is because the detective can only investigate after she has committed the crimes.
Yes.
So the detective is not stopping her from committing the crimes. He's just going to lock her up after she has gotten her revenge. You see what I mean?
The premise, yeah, I do see what you mean, but the premise of the story is not what I have in mind. It's not about her not committing the crime. She commits the crime, but along the line, she falls in love. She couldn't pull through. She couldn't kill all her targets because something is stopping her, because of the man in her life. It's not about her not doing it.
Now, so you see, your character want isn't clear enough, which is making your story not clear enough. And when your story is not clear like this, you end up explaining the story instead of telling the story. Does that make sense? So once you refine what your character wants, because your story starts where you as the writer let us start the story. If this data analyst from what you said, she was already raped, so that we're already starting from her as a vengeful person.
Yes.
Actually, in the first couple minutes of the film, we see this person getting raped, and now what she wants is revenge.
Yeah, we see her committing the crime. The rape is her backstory. We see her in the middle of the crime.
So this is no longer somebody who wants to this is no longer someone who wants to revenge. Guys, please, if you're not speaking, can you mute your mic, please? There's a lot of voices filtering in. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so she has the rape happened when she was 10 years old. But then the reason I put conflicted there is that she has this alter ego that refuses to allow her move on until she gets this.
Now you see what I'm saying? Look at the bottom, the text at the bottom of your story, of the screen. The story at its core, you're telling me a lot of interesting things, but you don't know your story yet, and that's where problems start. Because if you're writing a story about a rape survivor who wants to kill the 5 people who raped her when she was young, the obstacle becoming now, the detective has caught wind of the case, and she has to go. So that's more streamlined. That's easier to see. So when you know from this point, the obstacle is going to stop her from killing the remaining 2 people. You know how you're writing your story. You know how you're plotting your story. You know how you're building everything. So for you, I think what you need to do is think about your character once some more. All right. I see Israelites. Israel?
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, this is Israel.
Hi, Israel.
Okay, my story goes this way. The best footballer in the world who grew up in an orphanage wants to give back the sum of $100 million to his community. The problem now is he has gotten so famous. Every state in his own country is claiming he's from there. And his mom was a sex worker who got pregnant in the line of duty.
No, you're going too far. You're going too far. You're going too far.
Okay.
So, make it simple. This is like a fill in the blank space type of thing. So, your character is a world famous footballer. What he wants is to give back to his native community. The obstacle is every state is claiming him as their native, and he doesn't know where he comes from.
Yes, sir.
So you see, that's a good one. That way it is easier to move things from there. So so we don't spend too much time here. Susie is the last one I'm going to take, and then let's continue.
Okay. So my story is, what if a bunch of...
Sorry, Susie. Just so we clear, right? Every other question can come in once Mr. Sammy is done with his session. Thank you. So we would love to accommodate all questions, but we would also love the conversation or class to go on. So once he's done, every other person can ask questions. Thank you so much. Susie, you can continue.
Okay, so my own is, what if a bunch of vigilantes kidnapped a bunch of elite children and made them fight for survival on a deserted island as a sort of punishment?
That's a good one. That's a good what if. Now, now you see that's the stage for your story. That's an interesting stage. What is the story itself? Who is the character that we are following? What does this character want? And what is stopping this character? Hi, Susie. Are you there?
So are you asking me?
Yes, I am. That's a question.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, that's a question.
Sorry. Okay. The vigilante group wants justice, even though they are going about it the wrong.
Wait. We need to streamline. Unless the entire group are moving with the same purpose, we need to pick one character from the group that we are going to follow. So, who is this character
I see.
And what is stopping them?
The ring leader is a man that grew up in poverty.
Too much. A vigilante ringleader wants
charismatic justice because of the unfairness of society.
Okay,
And
that is not specific in any way. That is not specific in any way. In what way has injustice been done to him or his people or his community? In what way does it directly affect him? In what way? What does justice look like for this person? Because there are some people who, for them, justice is, I am going to change the nation. For some people, justice is, I'm going to murder everybody who committed a crime. For some people, justice is, I'm going to murder them and their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren and even their great-grandparents that don't know anything about what they've done. So your story, your character wants is not specific.
I'm getting there. He's like part of the marginalized group, grew up in poverty. So he has seen like the difference in society.
Susie, you're going too far. Listen to how everybody else addressed this and take a look at what I have here. There's not too much information here. It is just the core, the bare bones of the story. What you're talking about is the meat. I need the bones because from the bones you can put whatever you want. You can build whatever structure you want. All right. So a vigilante ringleader wants politicians to get a taste of their own medicine.
Yes.
Well, how do you do that? In what way are you doing that? You need to specify this even further. So a vigilante leader wants to kidnap the children of top politicians.
Yes.
What's the obstacle? Getting past their security system.
Yes.
You see that? That is smoother, that is straighter. Wait, Susie, wait. That is smoother, that is straighter. And now, once you put it that way, then you know that what you're watching is how this person is going to succeed in kidnapping these people. If you already have these people on the deserted island, then your ringleader is no longer your character because the characters are fighting for survival. So, the son of a corrupt politician wants to escape from an island of doom and death. The obstacle is there are a bunch of other people here who are intent on taking his life. That way, your story is smoother, your story is clearer. Once your story is clear, once you do this exercise and you can get your story clear in the least amount of words, then you can build anything else you need to build. So later, you can then do your character profile. Later, you can build your antagonist and all of that. But at its core, this is where your story starts. This is who your character is at its core. This is what they want at its core. Every other thing stems from here. This retired police officer who wants his pension from the government, after he goes to the pension office, if they refuse him there, then what is the next thing he has to do? What is the next thing he has to do? What conflict is he facing there? What is the next thing he has to do? What conflict is he facing there? That way you build your plot. And then because you know your character well, you add life to that. So this is where it starts from. And so let's continue. Thanks everyone for your contribution. Let's talk about the important elements of character. Your characters, your well-developed characters, they are an important ingredient for your story success because they drive the emotional core of your story. Remember, you're not just telling us a story, you are selling emotions to us. You are taking us on an emotional journey. So it's not just about the action or the romance or the drama or the thriller or the horror or whatever it is you're writing. It is the emotion engaged, the emotion displayed, the emotion portrayed, the emotion felt by these characters that you as a writer are making us feel. So if you have a character who is going to do something terrible, depending on how well developed your character is, the audience is going to feel that terrible thing with him. But if the audience does not connect with the character, they're just going to be watching what is essentially a documentary, a news story, and go, hey, yeah, and click, change the channel to something else. So your characters must be multidimensional, they must be relatable, they must be capable of growth while staying true to their core traits. The first table that I put there, the reason for that is you identify the core trait of your character. Is this person an inquisitive talkative? Is this person a warm-hearted thief? Is this person a loving murderer? Or is this person a talking cat? Identify their core traits there and then build what they want from there. But you know that these are the characters that we are going to feel emotions from, whether your character is the protagonist or the antagonist. And when you're building characters, you want your characters to have life. You don't want flat characters. So think about your characters from these three areas. What is their family life like? What's your character's age? Are they married? Are they single? Do they have kids? Are they the child? Are they in a loving family? Are they in a hateful family? What is their family life like? Are they orphans? Are they growing up in an orphanage and they've formed family with the rest of the kids there? Are they ostracized? What is family for them? For soldiers, family is the brothers that they've shed blood with. So their brothers in arms are a sort of family to them, even when they have or when they don't have their own biological family. You also think about your characters from their career or work life. Are they in school? Are they out of school? Are they uneducated? Are they working or are they unemployed? Did they just get fired? At what level are they in their career? Do they even know what career they want? Are they in a job that they've been doing for a long time and they excel at it, but they completely hate this job because it's sucking the life out of them? Know that about your character. Also, their social status. Are these people friendly? Are they social butterflies? Or are they loners? Do they have one or two friends? Or are they the type of person that they walk into a party and every single person knows them? Are they middle class? Are they low class? Are they high class? Think about the character's social status from these angles. So the more you know your characters, the better a story you can tell. The more depth, the more life your story will have. Then your character's motivation. What is driving this character to do what they are doing? Because we have a character who wants this, and this is what is stopping them. If I'm somebody who wants revenge against an entire terrorist organization, the obstacle is I have no training, no access to information and all that. What is going to drive me to continue on this revenge? What is going to tell me, why don't I just stop? Why am I still going ahead? That is motivation speaking. So your character wants, this is the goal that they are working towards. This is the specific thing that they are working towards. This is external. This is something that is visible. It's the external goal or desire that the character actively pursues throughout the story. It drives their actions, it drives their decisions. So I want this girl to be my girlfriend. I want to rescue my child from thieves. I want to complete this project so I can get a promotion. I want to climb Mount Everest. I want to skydive. Right? This is the external thing that they're trying to do. So you see these characters building up what they need to get what they want. Now, what is the need? This is the unrealized desire. This is the thing that is underneath. It is the internal growth or change that the character requires for them to be fulfilled. Which is why when I was talking about success earlier, I mentioned your character wants to be successful. But then what does success mean for a character? When my project becomes a blockbuster, there I feel successful. So what do I need at that point? I need validation from other people, or I need to accept myself. Yeah, the need is a subtle thing. It is an emotional thing. It is a mental thing. It is not immediately obvious. A lot of people will talk about what they want. They won't talk about what they need. There's this prayer: Father, give me what I need, not what I want. Or sometimes you ask for what you want and God gives you what you need. What you understand from that, apply it here. Because what you want might not necessarily be the best for you, or it might not be all. It might not satisfy you. what you need would give you that satisfaction, would give you that fulfillment, would resolve whatever it is within you that is unsettled. Now, still on character motivations, a flip side of this or a mirror side of it, some people use what a character wants or what a character needs. Some people ask, oh crap, I put character. Forgot. Some people ask, what is the character's external motivation? What's their internal motivation? A lot of it is the same thing, in which case the external motivation and the wants are similar. The internal motivation and the need are similar. So the external motivation is the obvious thing that they are chasing. The girl, the money, the revenge, the success, the fame, the external thing that they are looking for. So these are the external factors or circumstances that push or pull the character towards certain actions or decisions. While your internal motivation, this is the emotional reason why. I want to make $100 million. The internal motivation is usually the why for what the character wants. So why do I want this? Why do I want the $100 million? Because I never want to be broke again. Because I never want to feel helpless again. Because I never want to feel desperate again. Because I never want to owe somebody again. That's the internal motivation. So the internal motivation a lot of the times is the why. For some people, they are parallel but different. Depends on the character you're building. And I expect a question regarding this at the end of the class. Well, let's continue. When you're creating your character, you're giving them a backstory. Why? Because the backstory gives context about these characters. It tells us why they are the way they are. Your past experiences, your upbringing, your significant life events, they shape the way this character is. They shape the way a character thinks. It influences the character's behavior and decisions. Sorry about that. So, a character who has been brought up in a certain way will grow up thinking a certain way, unless they feel differently about that, and so they change the way they think, they change the way they react. Your backstory still tells us that. Your backstory also adds depth to your character. It makes for relatable characters who are complex. So it's not just about who they are, what they want, what is stopping them. It's not just the what if. It is about who this character is, what they've been through, and why we should care. So the backstory also reveals relationship dynamics. Seeing if you go outside right now and you see a father and his son sitting down and they're gisting well, you wonder, were they always like this, or was there a time when there was friction between the two of them? Because something would have led to whatever you're seeing now. If you see a husband and wife shouting, the backstory will tell you what brought them to this point. Were they loving at one point? Things happened. All of that is backstory that has now led to the present relationship dynamic. We are now married, but we are essentially roommates. We are best friends, but we don't see each other. We are enemies, but I trust you more than I trust my best friends. These type of things come from the backstory and how you built these characters. Also central to the backstory is your character wound. This is a past trauma, loss, or hardship that continues to haunt them emotionally or psychologically. This is something that they've not dealt with or something that keeps cropping up. If anyone here saw the movie The One for Sarah, I wrote, because of abuse that the lady faced when she was younger, she finds it harder to trust men. She finds it harder to believe in herself. So we see how the wound has affected the character, how it feeds the character's fears, insecurities, and you build defense mechanisms because of this. You build coping strategies because of this. There are some people who are involved with substance abuse, not just because of the substance, but because of what they're using the substance to numb. So the character wound is also something that shapes the thoughts, beliefs, and reactions of your character. If you have somebody who has been in a place where they've been violated by men, when this person grows up and they've not dealt with that, a man casually touching them from behind is going to make them jump. When you be somebody who you were left in the dark for a long time when you were younger. This is somebody who might grow up afraid of the dark. So if it gets dark, they have a nightlight somewhere just so they don't have to deal with the dark alone. If you have somebody who was embarrassed when they were out with friends, then you might have somebody who finds it tough to be in situations with friends or be outside with friends. They rather be indoors or they rather be alone. So that's that character wound, because it is that trauma, that loss, that hardship, that thing that they have faced, that it is still having an impact on them emotionally or psychologically. Now, types of wounds, they include, like I put below, abuse, whether it is physical, verbal, emotional, or sexual. Abandonment is something that can also cause a wound. Betrayal, a broken promise, someone who has entitlement, and responsibility. I like the idea of responsibility as a character wound, because imagine a character who, from when they were young, their parents told them, okay, now we're about to die, now we're about to leave, now we're about to do whatever. You're in charge of your younger ones. Make sure you take care of them. And this child makes a promise, I promise. And so this child grows up, and because of that promise, they spend their entire life taking care of their siblings who might not necessarily appreciate them. But this character is too tied in with fulfilling that promise, fulfilling that responsibility, that they don't build their own life. They are essentially slaving away for somebody else. That's a character who is suffering a wound that they need to break away from. The backstory, the character wound also creates conflict, because an unresolved wound may lead to internal conflicts, self-destructive tendencies, or strained relationships with others. And all this drives the story forward. So I'm mentioning my child that I spoke about earlier. This person is now an adult. This person is about to get married, but the siblings now come with one or two issues that this person now is going to leave their relationship to go and deal with. And you can see how that causes conflict between the person and their partner. Who is more important to you? Is it me, this family that you're starting, or is it these people that are now adults that should be taking care of themselves? At what point are you going to let go of this responsibility that you've carried for yourself? So such a character wound, it offers growth opportunities, because when this character eventually confronts and heals from the wound, it will present them with an opportunity for personal growth, for redemption, or for transformation. And how you chart this in your story is very relevant. The movie Children of Men is about a character who lost his child and lost faith in human life, just lost faith in humanity. Because of that, now he's on a journey where he has to safeguard a woman who is pregnant in a world where nobody can give birth again. Because of that journey, we see this character overcome the wound of dislike of people, the pain of having lost a child, and the triumph of seeing a child come to life, seeing a birth grow successfully. That transformation, that growth there is beautiful to see when it is used properly. And such a character wound connects with the audience, because everyone on this call has one wound or another, or has been wounded in one way or another. Whether you've dealt with it or not, I don't know. But it is something that when you then see others who have a similar wound or who have been through something similar, it's a connection there. Whether it's a connection you accept or a connection you refuse, you say, I know this person, I've been this person, or I know somebody who has been like this person, or I can identify with this person. Structuring a screenplay, this now is another segment, because you know your what if premise, you know the state that you're playing on, and then you've done the story exercise to know who your character is, what the character wants, what is stopping them. You've taken time to build your character, to know your character a bit more. Now, how do you structure the screenplay? It's not listed here, but I recommend you do an outline or a treatment. What is that? An outline is essentially you breaking your screenplay into 3 parts: your beginning, your middle, and end, and using bullet points, or if you prefer writing in prose, writing your story out from beginning to end. And a treatment, what a treatment contains is, it contains your title, your genre, your synopsis, which is a small segment of your story, and then your outline, which is then the rest of your story. When you're done with that, when you have that document, you can talk about structuring all of that into a screenplay. So I'm going to hold here because the meeting is ending in less than a minute. So until then, I'm going to wow you with my fantastic singing voice that might make you guys not sleep tonight. Oh. Right.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From that there's more going on. We see the war Trinity is fighting with the agents. We get to see the exposition. We're really just revealing some of the things in the world until the inciting incident kicks in. The inciting incident now is what makes your story happen. It is tough for your story to happen without your inciting incident. Using the animated movie Soul as an example, we get to meet Joe Gardner. He's a music teacher who is a very gifted jazz pianist. We know what he wants. He wants to perform on stage, to be a professional player, but he also needs to make a living. The inciting incident for him becomes he gets a chance to audition for a famous jazz player and perform that night. That's beautiful. He goes for the audition and he nails it. So he's given the role. And then you have your rising action. These are the things that kick off from your inciting incident. After he gets the role, he's very happy, he's very excited, but he dies. Everything leading up to the climax is, I am in this situation, what am I going to do about it? Where do I go from here? Who do I need to face? Who do I need to meet? So if you know your character, your want, your obstacle, this will help you plot it. From once the inciting incident kicks in, using my retired police officer earlier, who wants his pension, but the obstacle being, it was embezzled by a corrupt politician. I'll show my retired politician. I'll show my retired police officer at first. I'll show his day-to-day life. What kind of person is he? What kind of relationships does he have? Where does he live? Who does he talk to? And then I'll show him going to check for his pension check. It's not going through. He's going to talk to whoever he needs to talk to. They tell him they're not going to give him the money. That there is your inciting incident. These guys have refused to give me my money. Why? The money is not in the account. So the rising action here, what does this guy do to get his money back? This is where you build your plot. Okay, I need to go and see the politician. I don't have access to the politician. Who do I know that has access to the politician? I'm going to talk to these people. I go and talk to these people. They don't like me. The fight breaks up because I'm owing one of them money. I'm running away. These guys are chasing me. So I need a different way to go and get this. All of that building to the climax. The climax here is then the showdown between your character and their chief antagonist. Because you have to build to this point. And after they face this chief antagonist, whether they win or lose, there is a resolution to that. So a character who has met a girl and he wants to ask her out, he goes to ask her out and she says, the only way I'll say yes to you is if you go and climb and fulfill these tasks. So he goes ahead to fulfill these tasks. That is your rising action and everything. And at the end of it, there's somebody he has to face. This is the last boss. This is the last opponent. He faces that opponent. He has won. He's coming back to get the girl. That's your falling action. And maybe when he gets to the girl, she says, oh, I was just joking. There's no way I'm going to ever date you. And then you have your resolution. He either gets what he set out to get or all of that was an exercise in futility. But at the end of it, we have seen that this guy has to value himself more. So note that, and this is not quite accurate, your exposition and your resolution, they are usually not on the same level because by the time your character is done with their journey, they are at a different level. They are not at the same level at which they set out. They might be higher, they might be lower. Your character might have set out to then they've returned either rich or even poorer than they were before. So your resolution, your denouement is usually either slightly above or below your exposition. That's the line that's drawn across. This is just a visual representation for you to see that when I'm writing, things have to escalate until we get to the climax, and then they start slowing down, and then we finish. So this is Frey Tax Pyramid. This now, I can't remember what this is called. Right? All right, what am I saying? This is Save the Cat. So this is nicely broken into your 3 acts. You usually begin with your setup, and then act 2 is your confrontation, act 3 is your climax and your resolution. That's where they fit. The life before your story begins is still essentially your exposition, still very similar to Frey Tax Pyramid. Yeah, this is who this person is in their ordinary life. This is what they are in their day-to-day. Even if your world starts in a post-apocalyptic realm, even if your story starts with, at the beginning of this story, we see that these characters, their house has been burnt, and then they have to go and live in an orphanage. That's their life before the inciting incident happened. Inciting incident, it is what then kickstarts their story. This is their call to action. This is their call to move. This is their call to their quests. I want this thing. I want to get this thing. I want to meet this person. I want to do this thing. I want to run away from this place. I want to get to this place. When that thing happens, for some story, there's usually a refusal to change, because even though life is terrible, I'm making enough money that I can feed my family twice a week. But then an inciting incident happens that prices have been, somebody has come into power, has hijacked things, prices have increased. Everybody's saying, let's go and protest. We refuse out to challenge, will be this person refusing to go and protest until something makes them accept the call. I'm going to go and protest. I'm going to go and fight for what I want. I'm going to go and get this girl. I'm going to go and get this money. I'm going to go and make this thing happen. I'm going to go and set myself up as a legend. That's where the change in plans come in. And then at your turning point, your character commits to the action that they are going to go on. At that point, they've committed to, I'm going to go and do this thing. They have to face trials. They have to face complications. Because just because you decide.
And at the same time, I would want it to be rushed. And at the same time, I want everyone to participate. I want the questions to be straight to the point. And I would also love Mr. Samuel to answer the questions straight to the point too. Thank you so much. So if you have a question,
I've called me Mr. Samuel. Can you see? They have called me Mr. Samuel.
Oh my God, please, you have to be with me throughout the end of this meeting, right? So if you have any question, please raise your hand, and he will be the one doing the picking. And yeah, that's for that. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Fabi. I'll be taking some of the questions on the group. And as expected, these questions, DSL Dreams is asking, how and where can one sell a movie script? Right. This is something I tell a lot of writers. First, you need to know the producers that you're pitching to. Research production studios in wherever you are in your vicinity before you send. I was going to say Nigeria, then I remember that not everyone here is from Nigeria. So research the production studios in your vicinity, see the type of films that they make, and then tailor whatever you're writing to them, so you know that you are reaching the right people. A lot of production houses, they have email addresses where you can send stuff to. Even if it's their inquiries, you can send an inquiry email. Hi, do you receive spec screenplays? Where can I send my material? There's also Trino Motion Pictures where I worked for a while, and I'll have the email address for that sent across. Another thing I completely recommend is shoot something. It doesn't matter whether it's a 2 or 3 minutes film, shoot something. It doesn't matter if you're using your phone, shoot something. So write something, write a monologue, write a dialogue, write a short scenario. There's a short film that's I think it's over 15 years old now, and people still reference it. It's called The Black Hole. It's a 2-minute film about this board office person who accidentally prints something that allows him to pass through objects. And greed makes him go and rob his safe and get stuck in the safe. Like, it's a very simple film. It's just one character, 2 locations, no dialogue. Until now, I still use that movie as a reference. So write something interesting for a minute or 2 and shoot that. Enter that into a film festival, get and build visibility from there. And the conversation you want to have from there is saying, I did not have a budget and I did this. With a budget, I'd be able to do even more. So I hope that answers that question. When it comes to pitching a story to a client, I'm sorry, I can't cover that right now, but that's a whole different class, because what you need to do first before you get to that stage, after, of course, knowing your story and everything, is you're building what is called a pitch deck or a story deck. You can Google samples of that to see what a story deck looks like, but what it is essentially a document that tells what your story is about. And this is for when you have a meeting with whoever it is you're pitching to. So a pitch deck is essentially you selling your idea to your audience. First, you need to get that audience. So still goes back to make that audience. Regarding story versus plots, yes, story is what the character wants to do. So a character, my naive school teacher who wants to reform the school, who wants to make sure that people stop doing crazy and delinquent things. She wants her students to stop smoking. She wants her students to stop fighting. She wants her students to stop joining cult. Right? That is what the character wants to do. But you as a writer, there is a way you're going to write it, because if I was to write that story and you were to write that story, our plot would be different. Plot is usually where a lot of writers differ. Okay, your plot and your voice. So I come up with a story idea of, imagine a story where, what if, goodness, what if can I use? What if you wake up the next morning and you've turned into a bird? Okay, that's just the what if premise. Now, who is the character involved? A multi-billionaire who is an asshole, or let's even make a person a kind person. The kindest multi-billionaire wakes up as a bird. What does this character now want? He wants to return back to a human being. What's the obstacle? He's a bird. So he does not have, he cannot speak, he cannot read or write, he cannot communicate. That is the story. Now the plot is, how would I make this character get what they want? And the way I would do it would always be different from the way you do it, child. I might make this person fall in love with, I might make this person group up with other birds and start a riot so people stop killing birds in this society. I might make this person go to somebody's house and use its beak to type on the wall, my name is whoever, I'm a multi-billionaire, help me. But you might decide that instead of all of that, you're going to tell the story from, in this place, people are hunting birds, and so this guy's life is in danger. Plot is what you as a writer choose, is how you as a writer rather choose to make your story happen. Is that clear? I'm saying, what is a parallel character? I'm not quite sure what you mean about this. Wisdom, can you expand on this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I think you mentioned it at some point. You were like parallel and different. I didn't get you at that point. I didn't understand you.
I think that would have been when I was talking about character motivations.
Yes, I think so.
So, for some motivations, what you want and need might be parallel in the sense that I want money, and the need might be because I want to pay school fees, or I'm hungry, or I want to pay somebody's
to
bill.
get the house sorted.
Exactly. But then that's a parallel need. That's a parallel want and need. That's parallel motivation. But then if your motivations are not parallel, it can be that I want to make $100 million from crypto. But what do I need? I need to confront my sense of insecurity, or I need to confront my fear of loneliness, or I need to respect people. Do you understand that? Do you see how the want and the need are not directly correlating, but they refer to the character? Because what is this character's attribute? What is this character personality? If this is a character who, because they are broke, because they've been disturbed by people with money, now that they've got money, they are wicked. They are essentially the person that they hate. So this character needs to recognize that they've become what they hate, and grow up, become kinder, just let that go. Is that clear?
Yes, it's clear. Please, the second question, I think I asked another
Right.
one.
Now, when you're asking, can the core traits of a character change? In a sense, yes, they can. But no, it's not just about the core traits changing. It's about the character growing. So it's not a change here, it's a growth. It's either a growth or a decline. You can have somebody who is kind, but because of what they go through, because of what you as a writer put them through, they become cold-hearted. If you think of Godfather, for example, Michael Corleone was a kind-hearted person, but with all the events that happened from Godfather 1, by the end of the film, he's hard-hearted, he's tougher, he's stronger. So that nice person is no longer nice, because the world is going to prey on a nice person. If I'm going to survive here, I need to be ruthless.
Yeah.
So yes, the core traits of a character can change, but then the change has to be organic. You can't just force this character to change. Okay.
Okay, thank
you.
So, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, not to bring us backward, but talking about change, I don't know if we're on the same page. So I'll just give an illustration. Okay, maybe at the beginning of the story, I've established that a character was okay, the backstory now. A character lost his wife due to bad governance, bad policies, and all that, right? So maybe the police, let me use the police first now, killed his wife unjustly. So because of that, he became bad, right? He became bad, trying to avenge the death of his wife. So in the process of trying to avenge the death of his wife, the police officer, or let's say the officer that killed his wife directly, turned and became a good person before he actually got to the policeman to avenge the wife's death. And the guy who wanted to kill the policeman for killing his wife now changed at the end of the day. So is it
because what kind of experiences has this person had? If you picture from this scenario you're talking about, a child who their family was killed off by this person, and now this child have gone through a lot of issues because they've been living on the streets and all that. And now this child has gotten strong enough that they can go and face this person that's essentially messed up their life. And when they go there, the person is a frail old man who is
changed,
who is like who has had a change of heart, who has become softer in their old age. This character that you've created now, would this character want to enact their revenge, or would they let this old man be?
Yes. So
there you're still on the same page in that instance. This meeting is going to go off in a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just going to rejoin when it goes off, and I'll take a couple more questions.
Okay.
Okay, so Adeyemo Samuel, you need to meet with a producer. You need to partner with a producer for this, because a lot of what they will ask you is, what have you done before? Also, depending on the investor you're meeting, is this investor in the film industry, or is this person an entrepreneur that you're going to meet to say, give me your money, I want to do my film? Yeah, so that's another angle to look at it from. Your pitch deck is something that you need to create for this, because whatever meeting you're going into, they don't have time to read your full screenplay. They want to just get the basics of your story and move forward. So your pitch deck, your story deck is going to tell them that without them having to read a 90 or 120 page screenplay. So who can I get to listen to this? Right. So again, your direct this towards production houses. What production house has done anything similar to what you've done? What production house do you think has the capability to fulfill the type of story that you want to tell? You go from there. Victoria is asking, how can I make it big and stand out as a screenwriter? Work. There's no shortcut to it. You put in the work. You keep writing, you keep creating until you have something that stands out, and you keep putting your work out there. Whenever you see a call for scripts, you send your pitch across. Whenever you see just pay attention to those who are calling out for scripts. So again, you need to follow handles for production houses. You need to follow handle for film festivals and all film-related events, because eventually these guys post these things. The Screenwriting Guild of Nigeria, you should also follow that Instagram link, because they also post some events. They also post some call for scripts. I'm seeing a text from Charles Okoye. You're working on a TV series with 20 major characters, including the protagonist. Is the script idea sellable in Nollywood, given the size of the cast? Also, how do I go about building? I can't see the rest. How do I go about building what? I can't see the rest. Okay. You have 20 major characters. That's all well and good, but who is your key protagonist? Right? And are these characters relevant to the story? If they are, then go for it. All right? There are series and there are web series that have characters of this much size. What matters now is not necessarily the size of your characters or your cast. What matters is how interesting and relevant your story is.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
Is a pitch deck also called a log line, or do they mean different things?
They mean different things. A pitch deck is a document of its own. It's you essentially giving a presentation.
Okay.
Oh,
yes. Okay. Like you pitching in front of producers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you put your pitch deck together. Your pitch deck contains it contains the key elements of the story. So your synopsis, your title, your genre, who your characters are, what the story world is, what the conflict is there, and the relevance of your story and why these guys should make it. So essentially your pitch deck is, this is what I want to tell, this is the story I want to tell, and this is why you should let me tell it. This is why you should give me money, or why you should be the ones to tell it. Okay? A logline is essentially a 1 or 2 line sentence that captures your story.
Okay.
Yes. Joy is asking for industry trends in Nollywood, and that's tough to quantify simply because of this, right? Every film you are seeing right now was written months or years ago. For instance, The Weeknd is coming out in August, end of this month, right? We wrote The Weeknd 2019. The Weeknd was shot 2022. There are projects like Sugar Rush that went from script to finished film to cinema release in a couple of months as well. So when you're talking about industry trends, it's not easy to predict, because what is making money right now, what is all the hype right now is something that was worked on months ago. So by the time you write yours to get your stuff produced, it might take longer, and this trend has passed you by. So instead of just looking at the trend, don't ignore the trend, but instead of letting the trend be what is your deciding factor, let your story and the characters you create be the type of thing that people will want to say, oh, right now, romance movies are the in thing, but your story can stand out. Joy is saying, Esther is saying, I'm just starting out with screenwriting and I would like to be taught everything I need to know on screenwriting like I am a 5-year-old child. What you need to do is get a copy of the books, either Story by Robert McKee, MCKEE, or you get Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. Those two books will teach you like you're a 5-year-old child. Sophia Osage,
what was the last book you recommended?
Save the Cat. Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. BLAKE SNYDER. Stanley is asking, how do I format a scene where a character is speaking to themselves inwardly? How do I format or write scenes where a character with DID is switching from one personality to another? I think I'll take the two of them as one question. Or let me just answer the second question. So if you have a character with DID, you should take a look at movies where it has been done. A very good example is the movie Identity. I recommend that for anybody who's writing a story on DID. Identity, I think it's from 2003. So what you want to do there is know what the other character calls themselves and let one character speak. Like looking at what's it called, Schmeagol and Golem. They are two different people. Schmeagol is different from Golem. Their personalities, their attitudes, their speech pattern is different. So if your character is sitting, your character is walking, if your character is fighting, Schmeagol will say XYZ. Golem would say ABC. Schmeagol will say XYZ. Golem will say ABC. And then if you want us to see this from someone else's perspective, you show a third character, or a third character in this instance, even though there are just two people there. The third character is watching Schmeagol converse or whisper to himself and walks up to Schmeagol and say, what are you talking about? So I don't know if I explained that visually enough, but that is how you would write it. Siboniso is asking, how do we ensure that our characters' development and arcs are compelling and relatable throughout the film? Build your characters first. Before your character can develop, they should be built. Because once you build and know your characters well enough, and then you know what journey you want to take them on. Because you're not just taking them on a physical journey. They're not just crossing a mountain. They're not just fighting whoever they are fighting. They are also going on an emotional journey. So the same way you're plotting your physical journey, plot the emotional journey as well. So how does your character transition from because think of grief think of grief as an example. There are 5 stages of grief, and your person goes from one stage to the final stage of acceptance. That is the same way, whatever your character is going through, you plot their emotional arc as well. So once you know how their emotions are going to span the film, then you place the events that you're plotting to fit in with this, because you can't have your character want to go through something, go through a terrible time right now, but in the script you're putting that they've won $1 million. Okay, if they won $1 million, what is it about the $1 million that is going to make them have that terrible time? Is it that they have to go and get the signature of somebody that they hate, or somebody that tried to stab them? Make these things match. So I hope that helps answer that question. But I'm going to continue with the other questions. How how do I cope with writing for various mediums? First, I know the rules for the various mediums, because once I know what this medium, especially not just the various mediums, each genre has peculiarities, right? There are tropes that are expected for each genre. There are things that are expected for each genre. It's to know these things and then know how to use the rules or break the rules to make your story have more impact. So, telling a story for the screen, you're making sure that everything is written in a way that is visual. You're not spending too much time in your characters' heads. You're having your characters verbalize what they need to say. So even if you're writing a movie like like Locke with Tom Hardy, where you're just seeing one character in a car and making a bunch of phone calls, there is still engagement because he's having conversations with other characters. So regarding the character wound, can we use the flashback technique to talk about a backstory without doing too much? So yes, you can use a flashback to talk about your character wound, but another thing to specify is how does that wound present itself in this day and age? If you have a character who is afraid of tight spaces and they have to enter a lift, how does this character react when they have to enter a lift? If you have a character who does not believe in God and they tell this character that God is calling you, how does this character react to that? That way you show the backstory instead of just telling us about the backstory. Okay, so
Sorry, I have a question now.
Hi Dave, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Sammy. Good evening. I wanted to ask a question. I understand the fact that as screenwriters, we so much want to tell stories or want to tell stories generally. But as a director, the director is looking for how to tell the story. Now, what do you think about writing as a director in a way that we are looking for how to tell the story, not just telling the story? What I mean, example, is that some directors might choose to write with a few dialogues and representations of images, pictures, and all that. And when you are writing a script like that, you tend to write a script like that, you might break the rules in sense of using camera movement, um, picture, you get camera movement generally. So I wanted to just ask, would you advise in a way that we should still aspire to write as a director, or we should just stick to writing as a screenwriter and let the director interpret the script and do his work too?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this. What I would say is, if this is a project that you are going to direct, then it would make sense to have a director's screenplay written.
Sorry, sir.
If you take a look at the movie, give me a second. If you take a look at the movie A Quiet Place, because the movie largely relies on sound, the script was written in a way that emphasizes sound. So it breaks a lot of rules, but it passes the message. It still makes it so you can feel the sound while you're reading the screenplay. So if your screenplay calls for that, the type of story you're telling calls for that, it calls for you to write it as a director because of the way you would like to tell it, then go for it. But understand that your vision for the film might not necessarily be directly how the director interprets it. You might see something that's happening from a point of view, the director sees it happening from a wider shot. You might see something happening from a wide shot, the director chooses to focus on a tiny detail to maximize effects. So if you are going to direct, it would make sense for you to write as a director. But I feel like you still have a but to ask, so go ahead with your but.
I'm so coming. Okay, not necessarily me directing the film now. Okay, let me bring up instances. For instances whereby, okay, we see how the fact that many films these days, they are so big on their opening scenes and all that. And you as a writer, you know that you have to pitch your script to the producer, and this is someone that is reading the script. So you want to give that eye-catching opening scene for that same script. You know, you can start, many stories start out on black, many stories start out out of dream scenarios and stuff like that. But you want to give the very the big opening scene there, you impute it. Then other instances too might include well, I really can't remember other instances, but for that kind of instance now, and then for example, for writing now, if you tend to, you know, in your means of breaking a story, your means of breaking the story or rearranging the storytelling pattern, there are some things you might want to put forward. Okay, generally, let me just round up. You have no intentions to direct the film, but the way the film is coming in your head is in that pattern. How do you put it out on paper?
Right. A good example for this is the movie La La Land. Again, thanks to a former student of mine for bringing that to my attention, because La La Land was written in a way to emphasize stillness and connectivity at the same time. So all these characters are sitting in a car, nobody is moving. But then they're about to break into a musical number that's going to have everybody connected, have everybody on the same page, have everybody doing the same thing. It was written in such a way to connect that. And if it is, and I'll keep saying this, if it is relevant, then write it that way. If it can be written any other way, then go for it. But if it is relevant, if this is the best way to tell it, you have confirmed that this is the best way to tell it to get the maximum effect, then I'll consistently say go for it. Again,
okay,
it's a subjective thing, so you have to subjectively decide whether or not to go for it. You can write a POV again, and the director decides to shoot it in a different way.
All right, sir.
So,
thank you, sir.
Susan's saying, I'm new to the industry as a writer. All I have is my script. How do I view myself in this industry? What will you recommend? I mentioned that earlier. You need to follow handles for film and screenplay and film festivals and film events and production houses, because these guys do call for scripts. So first you need to get yourself something. If that's going to take time, then get your phone, get some people, make some connections with an actor or an actress here or there, and shoot a 2-page, 3-page short film. I will keep saying this. You have a good iPhone, you have a good Samsung, you have a phone with a good camera, you have decent blogging or vlogging microphone, a few lights, do a 2 or 3 minute film. Shock the audience. So there's another movie I'm going to recommend to the class. It is called Lights Out. Lights Out. It's a short film. It's on YouTube. So check out Lights Out horror short film. It's a 2-minute film with 2 characters, 1 location, maximum impact. And these people with that 2-minute short film got funding to do a feature film for that. So I would always advocate for doing something and submitting in the festival.
What was the first recommendation?
The first recommendation is to follow production houses and screenplay events and
No, the movie.
Oh, the first one was The Black Hole. The Black Hole and Lights Out. So screenwriting for animation, what is different from screenwriting for animation? There you include a lot of description. that's what makes it very different. Because once you're using, as opposed to live action where your characters are walking and talking and doing a bunch of other things, animation requires you specifying certain things, because these producers are going to draw the elements, so that you need to highlight what elements are important for your scene to make sure that these elements are incorporated in drawing. I would also always suggest an animation you like, look for the screenplay on Google. You most likely see it. Have a read. So can you use the knowledge from screenwriting for copywriting? A lot of it, yes, but pick and choose, because not everything is completely accessible. While you're copywriting, even with that, you're still telling a story. So you still break your story. Even if you're writing a letter, hello, good morning. How have you been? My name is, I would like to talk to you about XYZ. XYZ is a this, that. I hope you purchase this product. Thank you very much. Best regards. Even with that, it's in 3 acts. You still have your beginning, your middle, your end. So even with copywriting, even with writing letters, even with writing articles, yes, you can still use a lot of these things, because what you're doing is you're still increasing the excitement of the reader while you're going. You don't just start off with the most boring information and stay there. You have to excite your readers while you're writing. So yes, screenwriting rules differ from copywriting slightly, but then they are transferable rules, because what you're still doing is storytelling. I hope that helps. Right. And with that, I will take 2 questions. So we can have 2 people ask questions and we can.
Are you serious? You're generous. All right, 2 more questions, and I would hand over to our director, Isi. Thank you. 2 more questions, please.
Or if you don't have questions, just say okay, so I can go and eat.
Okay, someone is asking if names of the short films can be recommended. Yeah, we'll put that in the community. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. Sorry, my name is Anita. Thank you so much, Sammy, for all the insights you've given us. I don't know if someone has asked this question, but I just want to ask it. Where can I put out my short film? What would you recommend that I do first? Like after making a film, what would you say I do first? Because I spoke to a friend and she was like, after making a short film, it's best to put it, try to submit it to all these festivals. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, what about YouTube? So I need like some clarification. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, and I hope everybody is listening. Short films, general rule of thumb for short films is short films usually do not make money. A short film is usually your CV. It is usually your portfolio. What a short film usually says is, this is something I can do. If I had more, I'd have been able to do better, but this is what I can do with the little I have. So yes, enter your short film into film festivals. First, to build visibility. What you need before you put it on YouTube is, give me a title of a short film, The Red Light. By the time you put it on YouTube, you can then put the festival laurels and say, this film was an AAIFF entrance, it was a TIFF entrance, this film was accepted in XYZ Film Festival. So by the time you put it on YouTube and you put that information saying The Red Light from AAIFF, this, that, you get more visibility on your video. So always do your film festivals first if you can. Get it accepted to as many film festivals first as you can, and then your poster, put the laurels from those film festivals on your poster, and then upload your stuff on YouTube. So that way you can then put your hashtags on, this film was an official entry, an official entrance in AAIFF, an official entrance in this festival, an official entrance in that festival. If you even won awards there or got nominated there or got special recommendation, you can then add that to your description box in your YouTube video. So that way, by the time people are searching for AAIFF films or this short film or that short film, by the time they come to you, they see, oh, this film has done this and done that, has been in these places. There's more incentive to watch your film and more incentive for your film to then build views. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much. One last question, sorry. So I hear you about the short film and all the things to do, but also I was also thinking, how about adding like a star power in order to make the movie not necessarily sell, but make people want to see it? So for instance, maybe our A-list actors or maybe B-list, why not add them to like a short film that's an unknown or someone that's just starting, is making? And how can I, for instance, be able to reach out to maybe one of these stars to be able to be in my movie, even as someone that's just starting? Thank you.
Now, this is something I'm going to ask. If a genie appears to you and tells you you have one wish, are you going to use that wish first, or are you going to think about what you want before you use the wish? So would you use this star on a film that is not going to make money, or are you going to use this star on a film that has reach in cinema or streamer? Because if I'm giving you only one access to me, are you going to rush to use this access, or are you going to wait to maximize the use of this access? So I would not use A-list stars or B-list stars on my short film. I would use those short films to build a profile. So when I talk to investors and raise the funds for a feature film, then I can use those stars. Because then that's a feature film, that's a series, that's something that will sell and make money. So let me use the visibility from these guys to make sales. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, we have one last question in the group, sir, and then call it a beautiful night. So thank you.
Yeah. So what does a low budget movie mean, and how do you write one in a way that the story still has depth? A low budget movie is literally what it says. It's low budget. You don't have a lot of money, so you're not going for special effects. You're not having bullets or explosions. You're not having a lot of blood or knife wounds. You're not breaking furniture. You're not smashing phones. You're not doing all those things that are essentially going to cost money. So you set your film in one location with a handful of characters, and you go from there. So if you think about films like what's it called? Oh goodness gracious, I hate when this happens. So if you think about films like The Purge, where it's just this family in one house and people are trying to break in, even though that still requires some budget, but that's a relatively low budget movie. If you think about Paranormal Activity, it is this guy and his wife in their house, everything CCTV cameras, and then they're being haunted by a ghost. So few characters, one location, no breaking. Some of these low budget films are courtroom dramas where you have to come and defend yourself on a case. Most importantly, you are not spending too much. So how do you write one in a way that has depth? There, your characters are what will give your story depth. So if you build your characters properly, think about the Hateful Eight. It is 8 people in one barn. Everywhere else outside is snowed out. And these guys are having conversations. And because of how richly the characters were built, it is an interesting film. If you think about, I also recommend the movie Locke, Locke, by Tom Hardy. It is literally just Tom Hardy in his car making phone calls, and it is such a strong film. Right? It might start off boring, but stick with it, and you get to see how there's not much that's spent. You don't have to pay a lot of other people to go, you don't have to show so much, and yet you can tell a compelling story because the characters and the journey that they are on is well told, is well built. So I hope that answers your question. And with that, Fabi, I hand over to you.
All right,
for
all
closing
right,
remarks.
all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I really, really, really love this. I mean, I'm sure we didn't plan to even stay this long, right? We are thinking it's going to be, more of, or more or less, say a 2 hour class, and then everyone wraps it up and all that. But I mean, this has been really, really insightful and beautiful. I'm a screenwriter, but I have learned and unlearned lots of things, and I'm not even exaggerating, right? It's beautiful hearing from one who have seen at least 2 movies, and I really, really enjoyed it. And like I keep saying, I can't wait to see the weekend coming up this August. Probably personally, because uh I also have a little history with the director. But even at that, I feel the film is going to be mind blowing. I've seen the trailer. I mean, he went to Tribeca, and it's something very, very huge. And I think it's something not really often done in Nigeria. So I really want to call it a spectacle, if you permit me to do so. Uh, in that light, right, I want to say a big thank you for everyone for joining us. I am not going to just end this. I think my director, Isi, would come up to say a few things too. But I really, really appreciate everyone who joined in today. A huge thank you to Mr. Samuel. Or Sammy rather, we can't really, really pay you enough. These classes are classes, people really pay to, or workshop people pay to gain knowledge. But I mean, voila, we're getting it here for free, and in a very, very good way and manner. So I really, really do not take that for granted. But before we wrap, just a quick reminder that our All African Indie Film Festival is coming up soon. So this is more like the tip of the iceberg. This is more like telling us that, look, hey, there is something big coming up. And just like Mr. Sam is saying, if we can do this, online, and do it awesome, and everyone gets good knowledge, right, or learn a lot, think of how much more we can do, fiscally, the bonding, the networking, and all about that. So if you know any filmmaker who might want to submit their work, I know most of us here have short films and beautiful works they want to do. I personally am a film lover, so I don't mind sharing or watching films with everyone and discussing about films with everyone. So we are excited about the festival, and everything else would have been planned. Stay tuned, and hope we see you at our upcoming events. Again, lastly, before I hand the microphone over to my director, please, I am of the opinion that you have to grow as a clique or community. Let me not use the word clique, as community. Right now, if I'm going to be very honest, Mr. Samuel is Sammy rather, is most likely unapproachable because he has lots of things he's doing. I'm not saying you can't text him or and all that. I mean, feel free to follow him on Instagram. We'll drop his IG link on our community, so you can also reach out to him, ask direct questions. His family is fine. He's doing well for himself. Please ask straight to the point questions. Again, the core essence of this is to network amongst ourselves. So I don't want us to be stingy with that. Feel free to enter anyone's DM, my DM, the director's DM, anyone actually, to say, hey, I'm a writer, or I'm a filmmaker. Do you mind reading my short film, or do you mind seeing my short film? What do you think about it? I'd like us to have a discussion and all that. And this is the way we can grow as a community. So thank you guys so much. I am handing the microphone over to Isi. Yeah.
Hi everyone. So I think Isi is currently busy. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I've learned a lot today, Mr. Sammy. Thank you so much. And so attendees, Thank you for your curiosity, your eagerness. I love how everyone is just, asking questions, just engaging in different things. It shows how you guys are ready to learn, and it's a very, very, very good thing. And we leave you today feeling inspired and empowered to continue your creative journey. And, remember the connections you've made here and the knowledge you've gained. Make sure you connect with everyone here. Just try. You don't know who is good tomorrow, so let's just try to make a community, just like what Favor just said. So let's try to make a community. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for being a part of this experience. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. Creating this journey together is not a one-man thing. We all know how filmmaking can be, so it's not just a one-man thing. We all have to do this together. So we are already creating our village. So let's see how it goes. Thank you so much. And with that, I say good night. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much. Sending you all of my love. I'm going to drop his Instagram handle right now so we can, thank him. Bye.